Hi there, welcome to my channel. In this video I'll be showing you how I created this chocolate bow using Wilton candy melts. It has some shape and dimension and it's something that can be assembled onto the surface of a cake or dessert. I created this bow template which is just on a regular printed piece of paper, and this is an acetate sheet which is used to copy on. It's a transparent sheet of plastic and this is perfect for this kind of project. I'm going to be creating a stencil with this, so I start by cutting all the pieces for the bow separately and then cutting each of the pieces out to create the stencil. I'm using light cocoa Wilton candy melts which I'm melting into a bowl and then stirring until smooth. I've cut my bow and my acetate sheet the same size. I'm using a mug that will create the shape for the actual bow as well. I start by layering my plastic acetate down first and then putting my bow piece of paper on top as my stencil. I'm then using my melted chocolate and I'm spooning about 3 to 4 teaspoons of chocolate, and I'm adding quite a lot liberally because we want this to be a thick bow edge. We want them to be sturdy and thick. I'm using a knife to carefully slide the chocolate across, and you want at least about 3 to 4 millimeter thickness, so this needs to be thick. Then using the corners of the paper, I then carefully lift away the stencil and you're left with the shape of the chocolate. Immediately I carefully lift it up and then I slide it into my mug, and as you can see it's just going to sit there and catch the shape of the mug, and this is all you've got to do. And I pop it into the fridge and it will sit like this. I then create another one the same way. There is a lot of chocolate used in this, but I have to tell you it's so easy to reuse the chocolate. It peels off the paper very well and you're able to reuse this for another project too. Then I start on the center of the bow and I'm cutting my acetate down to a strip, which you'll see soon how I mold it. I layer it again with my stencil over the top and create, with the same amount of chocolate, a good thickness. I carefully smooth the chocolate across the stencil, and using the corners I carefully lift away the paper to avoid any drips. I then insert this strip of paper into a plastic cup, and as you can see it creates sort of a U shape, and this is the shape we want for the center of the bow. I then work on the tails. A suggestion would be to separate these two and do them individually. It does get very messy and prone to dripping when you do lift off the paper. But this time I'm going to do them together on one sheet. I add about 2 to 3 teaspoons of chocolate, and using my knife I carefully smooth this across the stencil, trying to make sure I have a good amount of thickness. The thickness is really important since these are so fragile, they can break, so we want to maintain at least a 3 to 4 millimeter thickness. Then carefully, with using each corner, I lift off the stencil and set it aside. I then remove my other pieces from the fridge and they're ready, and they're already peeling away by themselves from the acetate. They even curl a little more in the fridge with the plastic on them. You're left with a beautiful smooth and glossy surface on the underside. Now a trick for any sort of corners or edges that are very bumpy, or if you've had any spillage, is to use a lemon zester to help sort of file down the sides and create that smooth edge. And this is really helpful. You have to be very gentle with it. We don't want to break the pieces, but this really helps create a very clean look. I remove the tails also from the fridge, and they are slightly curved just because of how they've dried in the fridge, which is fine. And again, I'm just filing away the sides just to create a very clean and sharp edge. This is the overall shape and silhouette that I've come up with, and you can easily use the bow like this. You've got a very pretty sort of surface, which is glossy and sharp. You can also add luster dust, which is what I'm doing here, and I'm just adding a little bit of copper just to the edges to add a little detail. You can even add the luster dust before you do this project onto your acetate, so that's another idea too. And this is the finished result. You've got a very sharp and crisp looking bow, which you can add to any cake. And it's got a lovely finish to it with a slight detail and curve to it. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful. Please be sure to subscribe, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you so much for watching.